So another season done and dusted. A short summary, I suppose, but how do you evaluate the season?
I think on the whole, exceptional, far above our expectations. It's great to obviously finish where we did, but from the club's point of view, that probably the biggest achievement really is the number of supporters we've had through. To go and get the biggest average attendance that the club's had in its history is very special, and for me it demonstrates lots of things are working all at the same time, from a matchday experience, from a squad point of view, from marketing, from our community work, to really engage the town in a way that it hasn't done for some time.
So recently it was announced that Matt Clark will be stepping down from his role as a result of the legal proceedings still going on. Lots of questions about that over the months. I'm sure you've been hounded yourself. Are you able to go into the details about the timeline of events surrounding that?
Yeah, I've said to many people, you know, things come up in a season that you maybe didn't have to, and we've been through some things in the last few years, let's say. It was another challenge. Matt came to see me straight after the event, with the nature of what things were at the time. He was given a temporary suspension. Unfortunately, things haven't really moved on much further than the time, and so constant adjournments and delays in court systems meant we haven't really got to a conclusion. And it seems like it might have been a long period of time, but it was almost like torture with another couple of weeks, and then that's been set back at another week, and we're genuinely no further on than we were right at the start, and so we sort of already made the decision that if it had gone past the end of the season, it's a critical time. Squad players, we need a bit more clarity, and so it was the right thing to do. Huge thanks to the supporters that have been patient. I think throughout, we're expecting, when it did go out, that there'd be a bit more backlash maybe or negativity, but it's been quite muted, and I think that's really down to the respect people have got for Matt in the game, and also the trust that we've developed as a club over the last few years, and some different messages that have come in, and hopefully Matt will personally come through it, but also we'll be able to move on to the next phase, and another dilemma we can sort of go through.
So when Matt did step away in February, he obviously had all the foundation staff, squad players. We had the form at the time, but as soon as he stepped away, we went on to lose 6 league games in a row, furthering the questions, I think, as it would, and lots of questions thrown up about a potential interim to come into the end of the season or things like that. What were your thoughts on that at the time?
Yeah, again, I think you only got on the evidence you've got in front of you at the time, and I know often when you talk about football of what if this and what if that, and unfortunately the reason other potential avenues may in someone's head be like the only option is because that actual option can't be proven. The only one that can be proven is what you've done, and I've said during that period, that the only sort of judge can be time, and yeah, it was a challenge. But you go back to February time, we just won again. I can't remember if it was the top of the league or around it at the time, and we're obviously doing very, very well. And the message at the time was, well, we've got the same group, the same formations, the same, everything was the same. So we had every faith in what we had to continue what we did. Again, we go back then, I don't think many people would have thought that it would have had as big an impact as it did. I'll certainly say I didn't think it would have had the impact that it did. But I suppose shows the strength of any leader in a group. But inevitably it did. It would have seemed daft for me if you go back to that initial point to change it, a different manager would have brought in different ideas, different tactics, probably different personnel people. We could have then gone on the same run, and then that would have been a bad decision. It was definitely a challenging time, but in those 6 games, we were also very, very confident in what we had. And I think Kieran's interviews, consistently saying we know we've got enough in the group, and in the end, as time did judge it, and we did, and full credit to the staff, to turn that around. I think recently, a couple of seasons back when we were bottom of the league on New Year's Day, that was probably one of the biggest achievements to turn that around. So I think we finished like 14th that season. When in that bad position, to then turn it around in non-league football is very, very hard. When things are going well, everything's going well. And I remember we had quite a few plaudits around Christmas this year, and we won 6 games in a row. And my comment was things change quickly in football, and they did. And my comment after losing 6 games was exactly the same. Things change quickly in football, and boy did they. And full credit to all the squad and the staff to mastermind that sort of comeback. I know we did change formation at the time and bits, but I don't think it was necessarily just that. We just needed a change as a group, something new to buy into, and they eventually did turn the corner. And I'll probably argue, probably some of the best football we played was towards the end of the season. And to ultimately go on and achieve the playoff position that we thought we could do, which is the best finish the club's had in about 8 seasons, was very, very special. And I think anyone who's with us on the last game here to sort of beat the league champions 3-0 and have that party, the atmosphere was unbelievable, so special on that day. We did the designer kit winners before, lots of people around, lots of excitement. All the kids' faces, especially the winners, cheering away, was great. And then to have the game and then the presentation after, it was a very special day at the football club, that was.
So you half alluded to it there, but football is a fast evolving game.
Yeah.
I think everyone's eyes and all the questions will be directed as to who's in the dugout next. With the club making such positive strides in the last 4 years, I guess what will you look for in the next Redditch United manager?
Yeah, it won't be maybe a few of us. I think it's obviously going to be a bit of change. Clearly it took us 4 years to get to now, and one of the things that people at the club wanted, and one of the things we've managed to bring in is quite a lot of stability. Within personnel, it's not just Matt who's been here for 4 years. We've got a number of players that have been here for multiple seasons. And that then enables a supporter base to buy into a group because they've got people that recognise and identify. So the next phase really, although yes there's going to be change, and yes some players come and go, and we've got to try and have as much continuity as we can do, because what we've done over the last few years has been built. Wholesale changes are not going to help us, and that's not the aim. We've got an exceptional group, and we want to try and keep as much of our group together as we can do. So at the moment, the next man is someone who can sort of help to build on that project, because what we don't want to do is sort of go back and have to rebuild, So we'll have to see. I mean, in terms of applications, what are we, not even 24 hours on, and it's going to be tough, because the calibre of people that have already contacted us has been exceptional, and again I think shows a bit of progress that we've made as a club. And it's going to be difficult, because there's many of those people could probably do a very good job here. Unfortunately we can only have one, and people I'll know personally or definitely respect locally. It's going to be a tough call whatever we do, but it's great to be in a position where we've got so many people interested in being part of the Reds going forward.
So given that stability that you mentioned, I guess how important is it to make that appointment quite quickly ahead of the new season?
Yeah, again, we've left it to the point we have done because I think it was the right thing to do. We've had to move on. People may have said earlier, which for me wasn't the right thing to do, and hopefully that'll be proven. We've now got into the season. We've got plenty of time, to plan out the rest of the season now. But that said, we are in a critical point. So. The ideal is to appoint someone yesterday. Unfortunately, that won't happen. But I'd expect that the turnaround will be very quickly because there's lots of things to do. Lots of phone calls and a few meetings, I'm sure. But we'll hope to get somebody out. To the fan base and to share some good news with the club very, very soon.
So the statement stated a thanks to the fans for their patience during the uncertain times in the past few months. During that time, we also announced our season ticket offer and freezing the prices from last year. What's the reasoning behind the £123 season ticket offer?
Fundamental has always been the strength of the club's going to be how many people come down that hill. And as I say, we've over 4 years not far off trebled our home average attendance, and every club that you speak to, they all talk about, especially in the non-league circuit, attendances are incredible. They're so important to how you can put together your show on a match day. And I can't think there'll be anyone who will have achieved the sort of growth that we have over the last few years. And we've done that by consistency, certainly, by doing lots more community engagement and by creating a match day atmosphere and match day offers that entice people to come down. And the £99 season ticket as well after COVID was a bit of a punt because, let's face it, again, you look back now, it's different, but we didn't know what the world was going to be like. And, was the season going to start, finish, whatever, and in the end, I think we got 8 games in that league campaign, but one of the things it did do is it ignited a little bit of interest for us, and we went back to, so last season we started it as £123, which is half of the gate price, just under that, so you've got a tagline, you've got something to promote, and we've noticed now we've done well over 100 season tickets last season. I've got to admit, I've got a very ambitious target this year, is to have more season tickets than we had average attendance the season before I took club on. That's a fantastic target for me. So to have a couple of 100 season ticket holders to start with would be massive. And although you're necessarily providing that a cheaper price, I'd say better value than cheaper, especially the way we've performed this season. You're also you're bringing people down more regularly, and then they'll bring their fans and their friends and their family, and we've seen that growth, and so it's another fantastic offer. It might be the thing that we're known for, that we've got this great season ticket offer, because the more people can get down here, the better. And fingers crossed, we know the offer's gone down well again, why wouldn't it? And I think what we're trying to achieve is the people that might come to a few games will buy a season ticket to come for a few more, and the ones that come every week, and not even just here, but follow us around the country, that's a thank you to them. It gives them a little bit back from us, and anyone who's going to be willing to commit to us for the season and make that commitment, they do, especially the ones that come home and away with us. That's probably the best way that we can thank them.
So lastly, having finished in the playoffs last season and achieving our highest ever average attendance, it's fair to say it was quite a successful season. But what is the ambition for next season and for the future?
Yeah, I think it's pretty well known that we're in a good place, and we're making some positive strides, and that can be seen in all parts of the club. At the same time, it's nice to keep grounded, as I always do, and we joked in the Queen's Head with the players around Christmas when we just won 6 games in a row, and we said, probably another couple of wins and we'll be safe, and in jest, admittedly. But that's always been the first target, and we've got to be careful because we've had an unbelievably exceptional season. I don't think that anyone would have predicted that we'd get to where we did, me included. And so what we've just come off the back on is something that's exceptional, and it takes a lot to get there. So at the same time, we started last season with me doing my usual messages. We need to survive, and I'd say that not as in the first team, I say that as in the club, because it is ever increasingly a tough gig. But where we are now, if I start telling people we're going to try and stave off relegation, then although I'm not guaranteeing that's going to happen because things change quickly in football, that's not the message now. The message, we've got to try and continue to grow. Are we going to make the playoffs next season? I think that's a tough ask, but it's probably not as tough an ask as it was last year that we've just achieved that. So we are going to go for a little bit of change, and we know things take time. I'm going to, no matter what happens, I'm sure that the supporters will stay patient with us, as they've proven that on a number of occasions over the last few years. So we've always been quite consistent with a long-term goal and steady growth, and so I'm not going to set any wild expectations now. I know what I might say and what players think in the changing room and what their own goals are often a little bit not aligned, because they've got much higher expectations themselves. But we need another year of growing their tendencies, growing our improvements on the pitch, and continue to grow the club, and then we'll see where that takes us. We've got to remember we've had an unbelievably successful season this year, so we've just got to be careful of where expectations may go. I think that the danger is now we've definitely put our players, well, they've put themselves in the shop window, and it's going to be a challenge. But what will help us at the moment is we put our season ticket offer out, and that's really good from a club perspective. Is the more season tickets, and they've gone very, very well this sort of first week they've been out, which to buy one this early is a real commitment. But it does also really help us because we can start predicting what next year looks like, and we've been pretty consistent in the way we plan things. We're not going to push the boat out to then have to cut back if crowds aren't the same as what they've been this year. So, but if you get a season ticket in, the money's in the bank, people are going to be turning up, and you can plan the rest of your season budget-wise, as best we can do. So one thing we know is going to be exciting, win, lose or draw every week, that's the case. So hopefully we'll have another few very, very good afternoons down at the Valley Stadium.